Reviewing Call of Duty Vanguard has presented a challenge that I don't really face often when working on videos for this channel. Most of the games I review are 10, 15, or even 20 years old, and I'm fully aware that when people watch that type of video, they aren't seeking out my thoughts in order to inform a purchasing decision. They might be budgeting their time, but older games are usually cheap enough that you don't need to mull over whether they're worth buying. When it comes to new games, though, I feel much more responsibility to equip my audience to decide if they will spend their hard-earned money on a full-price video game. Even as recently as Thursday night, I wasn't planning on making a video about Call of Duty Vanguard, because in truth, I was expecting to like it. Don't read into that too much. It's not that I don't like making positive reviews, but I know that I tend to go through a honeymoon phase with new Call of Duty games before their flaws start to grate on me and eventually sour my opinion. The same thing has happened with almost every game in the series since Ghosts, with Infinite and Modern Warfare being the only exceptions. I didn't want to make a week 1 review and sing Vanguard's praises, then turn around a month later and find myself disagreeing with almost everything I had to say. But Vanguard surprised me, because it was the first Call of Duty game since Modern Warfare 3 that I picked up on launch day and could tell right away that I was not going to enjoy it. The title of this video is not bait. Vanguard is fun, and for right now, it's filling the role of mindless evening entertainment for when I don't have time or energy to get stuck into a deeper game. If you liked previous Call of Duties, especially Modern Warfare 2019, you'll almost definitely like this. But fun and good are not necessarily synonyms, and I do not think Vanguard is good. After just a few hours of gameplay, I feel compelled to write something up and explain why I don't think it's worth your money. Not $60 of it, and certainly not $70 of it. In truth, I'm not even sure it's worth your time either, and in this video, I'm going to explain why. But first, you want to know what is worth your time? Self-improvement and learning with today's sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is a massive online learning platform where creatives and hobbyists alike come together to teach each other the tools of their trades. From advanced video editing, creative writing, and graphic design, all the way to cooking, interior design, and time management. Skillshare has thousands of premium quality classes just waiting to help you hone your skills or even develop new ones. I moved recently, and something I've been struggling with in my new workspace is getting my voiceover audio to sound how I like. My new office's acoustics are way different from anything I'm used to, and I found it difficult to get sound I'm happy with since getting settled. Thankfully, Skillshare had me covered. I followed along with fellow YouTuber Scott Liu's class and learned how to optimize my audio workflow from start to finish. The result was the audio you're hearing right now. Much better than last week, eh? There are so many other classes I'm looking forward to checking out, so I can use that knowledge to create bigger and better projects. And with more classes being added all the time, there will always be something new to discover. And now is the perfect time to do it too, since the first 1,000 people to click the link in the description will receive a 1-month trial of Skillshare completely on the house. So, get after it, make me proud, and a big thanks to Skillshare for sponsoring the show. Call of Duty Vanguard is the second most unoriginal video game I've ever played. The first is Valorant, which is an amalgamation of every other popular esports shooter, featuring characters almost exclusively ripped from said games. Vanguard is only more original in that I can't pick out individual elements of its characters, story, or personality and name exactly what they're ripping off. It is by no means a dash of creative brilliance. Everything about its setting, characters, and themes come across really generic and dull, but I can't just point at a character and say, that's literally fucking Reaper. But I can absolutely do that with Vanguard's gameplay. As I said, the game is fun, but it does not have a unique bone in its body. Vanguard's movement and gunplay are fantastic, because they're Modern Warfares. The best maps in Vanguard are up there with the best in the series, because they're from World at War. The stupid modern weapon attachments that make gun nuts cringe are from CoD World War II stuck into Modern Warfare's gunsmith. If you've played the 2019 Modern Warfare remake, you have played this game. You're using guns that look old on battlefields that vaguely resemble the Second World War, but it feels exactly the same. Call of Duty Vanguard is a reskin. Now, that's a claim that's been thrown around about Call of Duty a lot over the years, and one I've generally refuted. So allow me to explain why Vanguard is different. Any two Call of Duty games have as much similarity to each other as any other two games within an established franchise. The point of a sequel is to iterate upon a formula. But even if this was a fair argument, Call of Duty games have felt distinct from one another, especially when comparing across the sub-series and development teams. Black Ops was a much slower game than Modern Warfare 2. Movement in Black Ops 1 was slower and weightier, players took more bullets before dying. There was a much bigger focus on specialty weapons and outlandish kill streaks than the relatively grounded ones in Modern Warfare 2. Jumping ahead a few years, these differences have only gotten bigger. Infinite Warfare was an advanced movement shooter with a slow time to kill, followed by a World War II game with pure boots-on-the-ground combat. Black Ops 4 attempted to embrace hero shooter mechanics and the competitive scene, while Modern Warfare instead focused on combat that felt extremely visceral and instantly lethal, with a low time to kill and some of the best gun animations I've ever seen. Black Ops Cold War is a game I feel pretty mixed on. I tried it again recently when I bought a PS5, and returned it the next day because my opinion did not change. But credit where it's due, it is its own game. Compared to Modern Warfare's breakneck time to kill, Cold War slows things down considerably. I remarked from day one that it feels like an evolved version of the original Black Ops. Some prefer that, but to others, including myself, it feels like a step back from the fluid movement, weapon mounting, and non-traditional map design offered up by the previous game. I realize those are all extremely subjective statements, but I think that proves my point. It's entirely possible for you, the viewer, to disagree with my opinions on multiple Call of Duty games. You might love Cold War because it's slower and simpler than Modern Warfare. Games bearing the Call of Duty name are similar in their core mechanics, but that's really about it. Vanguard, though. Vanguard is Modern Warfare. The time to kill is the same. The gunsmithing is the same. The mounting is the same. The double time sprinting is the same. The few changes that Vanguard does make to its multiplayer are so marginal that if they were added as Modern Warfare tomorrow, they wouldn't even make headlines. Don't take my word for it though. Let's ask the official Vanguard website. Patrol is a new take on Hardpoint. It's Hardpoint but it moves, and that's the only new full-scale game mode. Call of Duty Vanguard is focused on second-to-second gameplay. What the fuck does that mean? It's a shooter. Expect to discover new gunplay mechanics. Where? Aiming, mounting, shooting, and reloading all work identically to how they did in Modern Warfare. Reactive environments. Doors are back from Modern Warfare, and you can sprint through or break some walls with gunfire, just like doors. These are cool, they look impressive, but they are literally just doors you can't open with a button prompt. Greater weapon customization. It's Gunsmith from the last two games. You unlock camos in exactly the same manner, quantity, and order. Each gun has dozens of modifications that make incredibly tiny differences that are honestly more aesthetic than functional. Blind fire! I didn't know I could do this until I looked it up. I'm never going to use it. Custom ballistics. Again, what the fuck does this mean? I can change my ammo type, I guess, is that what they mean? But I could do that in Modern Warfare too, that's not a selling point. There is a single new feature advertised on this page, and it's Champion Hill. In full disclosure, this mode is the reason I bought the game. A few teams of two are dropped into a little hub where they can buy weapons and items, and then pitted against each other in 2v2 TDM. Your goal is to knock as many lives off the other team as you can, while losing as few of yours as possible. You have 12 lives to share with your teammate, and when they're gone, you're eliminated. You need to play aggressively enough to kill the enemy and earn money for items and upgrades, but conservatively enough that you don't lose too many lives early in the game. This is brilliant. It's an evolution of Gunfight, but it changes things up enough that I think it gets a pass. This is the reason I'm going to continue playing Vanguard. Eventually. Because at launch, there is only one map with 4 arenas. This map is so visually uninteresting and uninspired that I was already bored of it by my second hour with the mode. And for reference, I still love Modern Warfare's launch maps, even Piccadilly. Champion Hill needs far more areas to enjoy it in, and even if it receives them through later updates, I don't know if it's enough to carry a $70 experience. Now, I suppose I should touch on the other modes in the game. So, zombies. It has it. I'm not playing it. Okay, in seriousness, I'm not a zombies fan and can't tell you whether or not Vanguard's take on the mode is any good. But what I can tell you is what everyone else has probably already told you. Call of Duty Vanguard Zombies is not finished. The vast majority of Zombies content is not going to be available until the first season launches in December. If Vanguard's multiplayer wasn't enough to tell you that this game was hurriedly slapped together, this should be the final nail in that coffin. I'm gonna leave it there and let the people who actually like Call of Duty Zombies do the critiquing. But I'm just saying, if zombies is the main reason you want this game, give it a month or two before you pony up the cash. Maybe you'll even catch a discount for your patience. Lastly, we need to talk about the campaign, but bear with me because I want to loop back around to the game's marketing real quick. When I went to see exactly what Activision had to say about the game's multiplayer, there was one thing that stuck out to me about Vanguard's marketing. If you Google Call of Duty Vanguard, the tagline that pops up on the game's official site is "the best World War II game." That is the official sting. Hundreds of millions of dollars of marketing budget, and the best statement Activision could muster about its newest game is the best World War II game. Now listen, both the best and World War II game, parts of that statement are debatable. We'll get to that. But my main issue with this statement is how it's simultaneously the cockiest piece of advertising since Daikatana, and the most meaningless mantra since
"it changes everything."
That is a big claim, isn't it?
I don't want to go home tonight and find my front doors moved, and that all my children are badgers, and that I'm married to Frank Bruno.
The point of marketing is to convince an audience to buy your shit. And yes, one way to do that is to convince people that your product is the best product in the category they're shopping for. In this case, World War II games. But pray tell, how many World War II shooters came out this year? 3. One is free to play, so not a competitor. The other is a multiplayer-only game made by a small studio priced at $40 and included for free in a subscription service that you must have in order to play 2/3 of Call of Duty. So yeah, also not a competitor, even though it's a much better game. Seriously, go play Hell Let Loose, it's one of my favorite games of the year. Calling Vanguard the best World War II shooter of 2021 is like saying that Untitled Goose Game was the best game where you play as a goose in 2019. Like, no shit, dude. But what really gets me is how bold it is to market a game as the best World War II game when it's hardly about World War II. You could replace the names of the antagonists with the Russian equivalent of John Doe, replace the guns and vehicles with ones made in the 1980s, and tell me this was the new Black Ops, and I'd believe you. Modern Warfare 2019 is a very similar set of missions, where you jump back and forth between interrogations and flashbacks, seen through the eyes of the character being interrogated. The entire premise upon which Vanguard's story was marketed is a Special Forces origin story, showing a ragtag group of multinational soldiers as they hunt down Hitler's successor. In practice, it's a series of random vignettes akin to previous games in the series that hit the typical greatest hits of World War II shooters, all awkwardly strung together with cutscenes. This game does positively nothing with its World War II setting. It is not about World War II. To call Vanguard the best World War II game is an insult to even the most mediocre World War II games, because at least they don't give Japanese soldiers the most iconic German weapon ever manufactured. Becoming self-aware about the gung-ho action movie thing that they were already doing with the previous World War II game in the franchise is not enough to make this a step forward for the series. And I cannot tell if this was a genuine attempt to do so, or if Activision's bar for themselves really is this low. In truth, I suspect the latter, because not only is this game irredeemably lazy in narrative, it's one of the worst Call of Duty campaigns from a gameplay perspective too. A couple years back, I reviewed Call of Duty World at War Final Fronts, which is, to this day, one of the worst video games I have ever played. And the kicker is that many of the flaws I've pointed out with Final Fronts are also present in Vanguard. And I think that makes the latter game worse, actually, because Final Fronts at least had the excuse of being an underfunded PlayStation 2 game to explain its issues. Vanguard doesn't. Its many flaws are explained only by organizational issues and apathy on the part of Activision. They have continually shafted Treyarch and Sledgehammer since the birth of the 3-year development cycle, and this game is that shaftage coming to a head. Vanguard's campaign is the most linear of any game in the franchise, and that linearity is enforced with a big fuck-off return to mission splash screen if you even go a few steps in the wrong direction. Vanguard is like Toriel from Undertale. The game is so scared that you will fail that it does everything for you. You are never given a chance to not know where you should be going, because if you even look in the wrong direction, bold text is now centered on your screen that tells you exactly how to progress. You'll spend an entire sequence leading your squad through a narrow, single-person corridor, only for a teammate to suddenly teleport in front of you because the game thinks you're too stupid to open the door without an ally standing next to it and motioning for you to do so. At one point, and I am not kidding, the path around an obstacle is marked by a toy train set that runs through a crawl space. You are literally being railroaded through a corridor because Sledgehammer thinks you are too stupid to figure out that the only path on the screen is the one you need to take. Vanguard is so terrified that if it doesn't dangle a carrot in front of your face every 10 seconds and point it out with flashing neon lights and signs that read "Eat me," that its audience will fall asleep and drool over the controller. But I think Sledgehammer will come to realize that this approach is causing that drowsiness, not preventing it. Vanguard is a train wreck of a 5-hour campaign awash with bugs, ugly environments, boring set pieces, and insulting game design. Literally the only thing keeping me going was the admittedly well-animated cutscenes, but if I wasn't reviewing Vanguard, I likely would have shut the game off long before seeing the credits. I think the modern identity of Call of Duty is incompatible with World War II. The brand has become synonymous with individuality and customization, which work in modern settings, but set in a real war that predates granular firearm modification, suppressors, electronic optics, it all comes across as forced and ingenuine. Given how many assets single-player and multiplayer portions of these games share, the setting needs to work across both, but here, it works in neither. Like I said, the title of this video is not bait. The game is fun, but very little of that enjoyment comes from anything unique to Vanguard. You could get the same or better experience by playing Modern Warfare or even Cold War. If you're the type of player that has a squad of friends that play the latest CoD every night and grind out challenges and talk shit on the mic, you're probably going to enjoy this just as much as you enjoy whatever game you currently play, and that's okay. There is something to be said for getting more maps to learn and more guns to grind camos for. It kept Modern Warfare fresh for nearly 2 years, and this is no different. The thing is, those updates were free. This isn't. The $70 that Vanguard demands you spend to have a derivative experience could instead be spent on any number of other games coming out this fall. 2021 is shaping up to be one of the busiest years for game releases in recent memory, and I honestly regret spending a weekend with Call of Duty instead of checking something else off my list. Call of Duty Vanguard is one of the least ambitious video games I've ever played, and by far the laziest AAA game of 2021. Give it a miss, and go play Hell Let Loose instead.
Get ready.
Hey, thanks for watching. This video was supposed to be a Tom Clancy video, and that did not happen because I played this game and like I said, I couldn't not say something about it. Tom Clancy video is pretty far along in production and it's gonna come out soon, and yeah, this is just kind of an off-script little outro I'm doing because I've not done a voiced Q&A in a while, and I'm going to do one today. So I'm going to answer some questions from the Discord. If you want to ask me questions, get in the Discord. Is your branding and theming intentionally aligned with the non-binary colors? No, that was a coincidence. I just happen to really like purple and yellow. My original branding colors are actually like a dark blue and yellow, but purple just fits a little better with yellow, in my opinion. And being close friends or dating graphic designers means that I get a lot of feedback when I was working on those things by myself. Am I willing to review other portable titles in big series like Need for Speed and Call of Duty? Yeah, I was thinking about doing a video about all of the Need for Speed DS games in one go. For one thing, I'm pretty busy these days, now that I have a day job, and I feel like I struggle to find a whole lot to say about a Need for Speed DS game, and then also once I've done one Need for Speed DS video, I don't want to do one for a long while afterwards. So I think I might just do all of them in one go, so I can get through that topic and then have bandwidth freed up for other ideas. So yes, there are going to be more of those in the future. Max Payne 3 or Red Dead 2? Max Payne 3, because I've not played Red Dead 2 yet, and there's a reason. It's fucking long, and I don't think it respects my time. So, I've just not gotten around to it. I also am sort of waiting for a PS5 upgrade to come out for it before I even bother, because I want to play it in 60 frames. I've played a little bit of Red Dead Online, and I enjoyed it. But Max Payne 3 is one of my favorite games of all time anyways, so I think that it would be pretty hard for Red Dead to top it. Would I consider doing a Watch Dogs video, specifically Watch Dogs 2? Yeah, I've been thinking about it for a long time. I don't really know what I would say. I don't want to just do like a straight up retrospective about Watch Dogs 2, because it's been done by people more talented and more popular than me. Watch Dogs 2 is a very good game. It's one of my favorite Ubisoft games, actually, and I've been meaning to replay it recently, so maybe I will talk about Legion at some point, because I have some opinions on... I've not played it, but I do have some opinions on the direction they took the theme of it. Which Nin is best Nin? The Fragile.